Hi guys, how's it going? I'm back again. In today's video we're going to be talking about long exposure photography. Alright, so long exposure photography, what does it mean? What's it all about? What am I doing? Alright, long exposure photography basically means how long your camera shutter is exposed for. You know when we spoke about shutter speed in my manual camera settings video? The longer you keep the shutter open for, it captures what's happening in that moment in time. So say if you've got it open for 10 seconds, it'll capture whatever's happening in those 10 seconds. If you have it on 1/250th of a second, it'll capture what happens in 1/250th of a second or 1/4000th. You get the idea. Alright, so we're going to go out today. I'm going to give you a couple of tips on long exposure photography as well. The sun goes down in just under an hour, so we better get a move on. So as always, let's do this. Alright, so we're out and about, we're on an overpass looking over two busy motorways. As you can probably tell, there's just so much road noise. And I'm going to do some tips after I've done the shoot. I'd do it here, but you can hardly hear what I'm saying as it is. So we're going to crack on, get some long exposure photos taken. The sun's starting to go down, everyone's got the lights on. Hopefully these photos are going to look awesome. So let's get started with some long exposure photography. And we're back. Alright, so we're back from the shoot. We went out, we shot a handful of photos. Some came out okay, some came out pretty crap. That's how photography is. So yeah, here are a couple of tips that I think everyone would benefit from when it comes to long exposure photography. I would have given you the tips out on the shoot, but because of all the road noise and the wind noise and how cold it was, it just wouldn't have worked out. So yeah, here we are. Tip number 1. Be mindful of your location. And what I mean by this is, you want to choose your locations carefully. You want to go somewhere where there's a lot happening, a lot of things moving, lots of lights going back and forth, but you don't want to be going in like a big public space where you're there with all your tripods set up and people are trying to walk past you. So if you're doing it like a city centre, make sure it's quiet, but there's a lot of like traffic or a lot of things moving about, but you don't want to be like getting in people's way. Just be mindful of your location when it comes to it. That's why I went to a nice quiet overpass shooting over the motorway, and the photos came out pretty decent. Tip number 2, get yourself one of these. This is a neutral density filter, or ND filter, and what it does is it basically, well, it's like putting sunglasses on your camera, like so. As you can see, I've disappeared. Now I'm back here. Yeah, ND filters are really great, especially if you're wanting to do long exposures during the day or in the evening when the sun hasn't gone down yet. Most of these photos I've taken were shot using the ND filter, so yeah, that came in handy loads. They're about 50 quid, so they are quite expensive, but I'll put a link to the one I use in the description below. So tip number 3, using a high aperture number. You want to use a high aperture number just to make sure everything in the frame is in focus as much as it can be. Yeah, tip number 3 is easy, just high aperture numbers. Number 4, I don't know why I didn't say this at the start, but using a tripod. Yeah, because your shutter's open for quite a long time, it's capturing everything that's happening, and if you're doing it with your hands and you're doing this, it's just not going to work out. Unless that's the look you're going for, then that's fine, fair enough. Do it, embrace it, do what you want to do. But yeah, always use a tripod when you shoot in long exposure photography. And the 5th and final tip, use a remote shutter. The reason I recommend using a remote shutter or a shutter delay or a touch shutter on a touchscreen camera is just because if you're pressing the shutter button and when you let go, that's going to cause a bit of vibration, so your image might be a little blurry or distorted because as soon as you press it, the shutter's open and it'll capture it just moving if you haven't got a very good tripod. So I just sometimes put my camera on a 2-second timer, so when I tap the button it bleep 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 and then it'll take the photo. I'll press the touch shutter as well, bleep bleep bleep, and it'll take the photo. So there you go, those are my 5 tips for better long exposure photography, and here are the photos that I shot this evening, so as always, enjoy. And there you have it, that's long exposure photography. I hope you enjoyed the video today guys. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment and a thumbs up if you did. As always, create something daily even if it's shit, and I'll see you again in the next one, in a bit.